Hey guys, I wanted to go ahead and give you my opinion on something that I kind of hold personally, as an American citizen and, pro-gun, pro-supporter of the Second Amendment, and this has to revolve around gun control. Want to give you guys my thoughts and my take on it. And, I was watching a little bit here and there about, the March for Lives, and I honestly think that the March All Lives, just about with anybody who is well versed with Second Amendment and gun laws, or and guns in general, I think it is obviously the most misguided, if not cynical, thing I have ever laid my eyes on. You know, I have different views about this. Well, probably most would relate to it. Me personally, I'm very libertarian when it comes to guns. In fact, honestly, I'm just a libertarian myself. Tend to be kind of moderate though, but that doesn't still hold merit that I don't care what people own when it comes to firearms. In fact, I'm not even against people owning automatic firearms. I can understand a little bit of legislation being put on them, with automatics. But me personally, if they were to get legalized, I would have no qualms about it. Hell, I might even own one if that was the case. But of course, with the weapons ban of 1984, any automatic weapons manufactured after 1984 are thereby prohibited. And the biggest thing that the left seems to not understand when it comes to this is that, granted, their sole focus is to stop mass shootings. In fact, mass shootings are a big outlier in just general gun crime when you think about it. It's quite strange when I see the progressive left talk about but talk about gun violence and banning guns in general. In fact, when you look at many leftist ideologies, especially when intersectionality comes into play, it's kind of confusing to understand the hypocrisy in that. I see a lot of times the far left is just like, white supremacists are everywhere, neo-Nazis are in the government, Donald Trump is the incarnation of Hitler, yet in the same hand, they want Donald Trump to take away all the guns. You would think if there were Nazis hiding in the bushes, you would want to have weapons, but that's beyond me. The only people on the left that I see honestly supporting gun ownership tends to be anarcho-communist and things along those lines. That's about the only people I talk to that are left-leaning, that aren't center-left or anything like that don't mind owning guns. Maybe some moderate progressives, but when it comes to the progressive movement as a whole and the left in general, they're all for banning the guns, even though that the intersectionality rhetoric of the left tends to contradict that. It's quite strange to me, me growing up, I grew up in the hood of Memphis and things like that, or at least fucked around a little bit in there. And, I've dabbled around while buying drugs and all that. And it's quite strange that the left doesn't seem to realize that if mass shooters really wanted to, they could go to a gun peddler, the same like some of their drug dealers maybe. They might know a guy who so happens to sell guns. And I got offered an automatic weapon one time for $150. Right off the black market, Granted, I didn't accept it because I didn't want to go to jail. I was just there for a little bit of weed, but, that's just one of many things. It's just that fucking easy. It's just that easy to get a hold of an automatic weapon. Preferably, I would rather own my weapons legally and not go to jail or prison for a very long time. That's just my opinion. But honestly, I guess the left doesn't seem to agree with it. It's quite strange, if you ask me, how this is going. And for the most part, I hold this, with my own thoughts, is that, the children themselves shouldn't be demonized. They should be criticized, however, but they shouldn't be demonized, but it seems that the children in what's it, Parkland, I believe, the Parkland shooting in Florida, where they it seems like there was admission that there was and at least illusion that these kids were bullying what was it, Cruz, that Cruz kid, and you know, that obviously, bullying obviously plays a factor in mass shootings. Maybe we should take bullying into accountability. I think that, like, if I remember correctly, the one chick, that a lesbian girl, Hispanic lesbian girl who was up there, she seemed to want to dodge criticism when it came to bullying. It's like, you don't know this kid. This Cruz was a violent kid from the get-go. Sounds like she's still kind of bullying him, or at least trying to find an excuse for why she why, you know, any criticism towards bullying should just be dodged. You know, I could go into Hogs and all that, and his views, but I'll probably save that for later and do a little bit more research before I fully discuss this all he addressed. I've seen bits and pieces, so I don't want to give my full take without knowing. But you know, it seems like it's an antithetical solution. It seems that in places where there's more gun control most of the time, it turns out that it's the worst fucking thing imaginable. Look at Chicago, for example. If gun control worked, Chicago would be dropping in crime, not like, you know, in gun violence, not continuing to skyrocket. The left also seems to be, you know, misappropriating statistics when it comes to mass shootings to make it appear that it's more inflated than what it is. And they also dodge the whole aspect of, you know, other things such as self-defense, keeping foreign invaders from wanting to attack. Japan wouldn't invade us because I believe, was it Hideki Tojo, or at least the admiral, I can't remember his name, if it was him, and said that there would be a gun behind every bladed leaf of grass, you know, and he's not lying. I mean, guns in America, there's 300 million guns. That's literally one per citizen when you think about it. Like, every citizen in America, man, woman, and child, there's one gun for each. I would be afraid to invade that country too. It's also to protect us from, you know, having a tyrannical government. You know, when you think about it, you know, like, well-regulated militias are comprised of the citizens. And granted, yes, the military may have more firepower, but the sheer manpower alone and all the guns available at the current availability would just be hard. And the level of tech that they're at, you know, we may not have fully automatics, but, you know, you have 100 million armed citizens with semi-autos against 6 million army personnel. I believe that it's pretty easy to figure out, even in guerrilla warfare. Even if we aren't fighting in an open battle, yeah, the military may kick our ass, but how would you do that in a war of attrition? It would be impossible to try to fight a battle against that many people armed with that kind of grade of weaponry. Maybe if they were fighting with black muskets and hatchets, probably. If it was some pre-1900s, 20th century military-geared army, yeah, I could believe that. But no, now with semi-automatics, it's really important. And when they take away the AR-15, which seems to be a focal point in each shooting, I'm surprised that it's not been switched up or anything like that. Like nobody else said, what about an M16 or an AK in these shootings? But that's besides the point. If you start with the AR-15, that means any semi-automatic assault rifle is up for grabs. And that would substantially weaken our population. It's very strange, if you ask me, all this is going on. It seems the left is using children as shields, and they get offended when you tell them that Hitler did the same thing. But it's true, though. It's true that Hitler did use children, because that seems to be a very weak spot if you use that, and it's an easy way to spearhead your enemies and demonize them, mischaracterize them, you know, say, oh, so you're not for the children. Well, what kind of shitty human being are you? Which I believe is just fucking asinine and a terrible way. I believe it's because, honestly, there's really no argument here. But also it's another point that I'll probably cover in another video, though, about the left talking about white supremacists, and then a lot of leftist groups tend to, you know, take up for black people who tend to be, you know, allegedly disenfranchised. Maybe to some degree it's true. They have it a little bit harder, but not entirely. But if this is the case, though, you know, if black people are disenfranchised, why would you want to take weapons away from them? You know? Doesn't gun control seem antithetical to and hypocritical to your whole fucking cause? You would want to arm more black people if that's the case. I think that it's fucking absurd to want to promote gun control at this level. I think it's just all coming from emotional reaction and sheer ignorance. I'm going to go ahead and do a part 2, guys, but I wanted to go ahead and give you my thoughts on gun control. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, tell me your thoughts, and, you know, I like to hear it, and until next time.